This evening is about hope and courage. The courage to act when faced with challenges, and the hope that such courage creates. War. Loss of democratic space. Injustice. Overconsumption by some, lack of resources for many. Loss of biodiversity. A changing climate. The problem is not human nature. It's the economic systems we've built on greed and exploitation. Systems that are not serving any of us well. Built on one dominating the other. Human over nature. One part of humanity over another. Man over woman. But since it's about systems built by humans, we can change them to work for and with Mother Nature, for the well-being of generations to come, for a just, peaceful and sustainable Earth for all. It is urgent. It will be tough. It needs courage. And we need to start now. All of us, where we stand, where you stand, one step at a time. This is what Right Livelihood Laureates do every day, courageously, despite many challenges. Let them, and this evening, inspire you. Hope is what we create when we take action together.
Going down, do you feel what I feel? Good people, clap your hands if you really care.
And if I could, I would surely make peace a reality throughout the world. Oh baby, I can feel this dream coming true. I know that you feel it too. If we want to keep this world together, we gotta get to know each other. No matter if you're black, white, brown or another. Baby, be a part of this love chain. Ooh, I get so sad when I turn on the news. So much misery and devastation. Tell me, what will it take to turn this thing around? Open up our minds and become one. Baby, we can do it if we put our hearts to it. Make our love a United States.
Running out today, oh love made the way.
People come and shake your name.
Come to shake your name and say,
We wanna keep this world together.
wanna keep this world
We gotta get to know each other. No matter if you're black, white, brown or another. Baby, be a part of this love chain.
love change.
Oh, it's still the same, but Johnny Yoko said in '69. Peace and love for everyone, harmony for you and I. We wanna keep this world together. Ooh, yeah. We gotta get to know each other. No matter if you're black, brown or another. Baby, be a part of this love chain. If we wanna keep this world together, we gotta get to know each other. No matter if you're black, white, brown or another. Baby, be a part of this love chain, love chain.
Please welcome your hostess, Parisa Amiri.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to one of the most important evenings of the year. It's an honor to be a part of the Right Livelihood Award presentation live from Stockholm, Sweden. Applause for this place, Cirkus. Finally. Tonight, we celebrate some of the bravest people on the planet, and we praise their important work towards the urgent change we all need. They remind us that courageous actions are taking place all over the world. And I hope that this night will ignite a spark in your mind on how you can contribute, how we're going to reach that place of a more just, peaceful, and sustainable world for all. Right Livelihood aims to boost social change. It is one of the most prestigious awards for democracy, human rights, peace, and sustainability issues. Let's learn a bit more.
Right Livelihood is a courage-powered community for social change that has awarded changemakers since 1980. But how does Right Livelihood find these people and organisations? Each year, over 100 nominations are received from around the world. Anyone can nominate individuals or organisations that inspire them. Right Livelihood's research team does thorough research of all candidates, both from the office and by visiting the candidates on the ground. A jury of international experts meets for a couple of days to choose the 4 outstanding changemakers who will receive the award. Laureates get long-term support, being connected to other laureates, raising their profiles and solutions in the media and their causes at the UN, providing protection when their lives and liberty are in danger, and linking them to universities and other partners. All this work is only made possible through generous private donors.
Now, please welcome an essential person for this evening, the chair of Right Livelihoods Board, Gunilla Hallonsten. Welcome.
Hey, Parisa.
Hello, Gunilla. Finally, we're standing here.
Yes, finally.
Finally.
And everyone is here.
Everyone is here. It turned up.
Yes.
Incredible. Gunilla, I think we're all wondering, like, how is it possible that Right Livelihood combines, like, why do they combine all of these different issues in other people's eyes, such as peace, sustainability, human rights?
I think it is important that we interconnect the issues, the development issues of the world. And that is what Right Livelihood has done from the start, and that is what we try to do now. And we do it mainly through the laureates' work. And when we listen to them and see them, we will see how they also integrate a worldview of peace, justice, and sustainability.
Yes. But I think the award must have changed somewhat since the introduction in 1980.
I think, yes, of course, but I think it has mainly been scientific developments. But science has also helped us with the problem analysis on uneven distribution of resources, for example, and also the unfairness and overuse of resources, and how we in the wealthy part of the world overuse the natural resources, and that we need to relearn somehow and change the way we organize our lives and how we live our lives.
Definitely.
Yes.
Yes, an applause even there. Gunilla, you're going to stay with me and hand out the awards. Thank you, Gunilla.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And now, the moment we've all been waiting for. It is time for the first laureate of the Right Livelihood Award 2022. Tonight, we're going to honor the 2 that lead the highly acclaimed organization Elman Peace. Somali human rights defenders, mother and daughter, Fartuun, Adan, and Ilwad, Elman. They support survivors of gender-based violence, and they disarm and reintegrate child combatants. they also support women and the youth by equipping them with job and leadership skills. All this through innovative and culturally relevant tools.
The Elman Peace Center is a nonprofit organization that was founded in Somalia. At the core of it, we are a peace-building organization. But we know that peace is so much more than just the absence of war.
Fartuun, Adan and Ilwad Elman receive the 2022 Right Livelihood Award for promoting peace, demilitarization and human rights in Somalia in the face of terrorism and gender-based violence. The mother and daughter lead community-based peace-building initiatives through their organization Elman Peace.
That is focused on cultivating leadership, empowering the most marginalized and ostracized members of the community to be decision makers in the processes that ensure their well-being. That means we work on all elements of peace building, whether it's economic empowerment, whether it's monitoring, documenting, reporting of violations and abuses, or investing in girls' education.
Adan co-founded the organization with her late husband, Elman Ali Ahmed. Together, they rehabilitated and reintegrated thousands of youths from clan-based militias. She and her daughter, Ilwad Elman, were in asylum abroad when Elman Ali Ahmed was assassinated in 1996.
And when I came back to Somalia, I was met with an overwhelming population being under the age of 30. What I saw there was an opportunity to influence young, malleable minds that desperately were in search of peace. And there was a lot of opportunity of breaking the cycle of this one-generation young conflict.
Adan and Elman's work goes well beyond Somalia. In 2018, they launched the network Peace by Africa with the UN Development Programme to share their expertise. It has now grown to more than 60 organizations across the continent.
Sometimes when you're working in a place like Somalia and your head is buried down into the work, you forget sometimes that there are people watching and celebrating you and cheering you on. So winning this award is a significant pat on the back for myself and for our entire team.
So honored to present 2022 Right Livelihood Laureates, Fartuun, Adan and Ilwad Elman. Wow, I mean, you deserve it. Well, congratulations. I can't believe I'm the more moved one. You two just won. So, your work and your methods, they have spread throughout the African continent. We want to talk to you about some of your projects and tools, starting with Drop the Gun and Pick Up the Pen. If you can tell us more about that.
So Drop the Gun, Pick Up the Pen was a campaign that was launched by Elman Ali Ahmed, the namesake of our organization, and my late father, as well as my mother. And it was premised on, in the context of an ongoing armed conflict, where there isn't political peace, where the warring factions are not coming to the proverbial peace agreement table. How can we create and negotiate peace at the front lines? And that led us to investing in social peace, creating alternative, dignified livelihoods for the overwhelming majority of those that are in armed groups. So by dropping the guns and giving them access to employment, education, to social protection, we were thwarting the capacity of armed groups, a recipe that was started more than 25 years ago and is still fit for purpose today.
And there's also the initiative Ocean Therapy. Could you tell us what that entails?
Somalia has been in conflict for more than 30 years. 78% of the population is under the age of 30. You have an entire generation of youth that have only ever known war. So we realize that we cannot create peace outside if we don't also invest in people's peace within. And that led us down a journey to figure out how do we create culturally, religiously, and socially relevant mental health practices. And we have the longest coastline in all of Africa, so we started to explore how do we treat the somatic symptoms of trauma through surf therapy.
And how does your work relate to the already very present climate crisis in your country?
Somalia right now is facing the worst drought in the last 40 years. More than 1 million people are already internally displaced. If immediate action is not taken, we are on the brink of a famine. And this has been happening like clockwork every 5 years. The weather shocks in Somalia are increasing. We are at the forefront of climate change and environmental degradation. However, we are also having a new government in place that for the first time ever put in place a ministry dedicated to environment and climate change. So climate change is happening and it's real, and the effects of it are catastrophic in Somalia.
But what are some key factors that are making you hopeful for the future?
I find hope every day, but usually it is from the very young faces that are looking at me in Somalia. In their eyes, I see opportunity, but also responsibility to not just say the right things, to pay lip service, but actually to match resources to the rhetoric and act for them, but for our shared futures. And I know that the peace that we are looking for in Somalia is within reach now more than ever before, but it requires action.
Thank you so much. And Fartuun, the stage is yours. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Receiving this award tonight, it's very important to us. And accepting it on behalf of Elman team and Human Rights Center, and including my daughter Ilwad, we really appreciate this award. And we also dedicated this award for human rights activists and policy making. It's in Somalia, peace activists who's every day going through really hardship and war, and it's injustice, standing every day trying to make it better in Somalia. So this award is all of us. The peace we have here tonight, and we're all enjoying here, it's not a dream. It's achievable. And we're always hoping to have in Somalia. We deserve to have peace. Last 30 years, it's a war in Somalia. And it seems everyone is giving up. But tonight, I hope everyone is standing up with us. And the opportunity we have right now, in the window opportunity we have right now, we're hoping you're going to stand up with us and change part of the Somali. Changing, it's, ladies and gentlemen, it's be a part of the, tonight we have a really inspiring time in this evening. And it's possible also in Somalia, if we all stand up together and put the effort to it. Thank you very much.
Maybe you noticed the incredible sculpture just received by Fartuun and Ilwad. Here is more about that truly relevant background.
Armed violence is devastating communities and people all over the world. From El Salvador to Sweden, more than 2,000 people are injured by gunshots every day. But what if guns could be transformed to bring life? The Right Livelihood Award sculpture, created by Swedish artist Eva Hild, is aiming to do just that. It is made of a material created from recycled illegal guns, known as humanium metal. The initiative contributes to removing weapons from the streets, supporting survivors, and building peace.
Aurora is the youth-led organization that is suing the Swedish state over not doing enough for the climate catastrophe. Please welcome the Right Livelihood Laureate 2019, Greta Thunberg and Anton Foley of Aurora. Hello. Greta, please tell us, why this joint lawsuit? Why is this happening now? Why are you a part of it?
We are facing existential crises right now that are threatening to tear apart the very living systems that we all depend on, and that is taking so much from so many people already today, all over the world. And just the fact that I, as an individual, have the option to take action means that I am privileged. And having that privilege means that I need to use it. It becomes a moral duty for me, and should be for all the people who are in that situation. And right now, countries like Sweden are disproportionately responsible for the climate crisis, and therefore they need to act, they need to take responsibility and lead the way, and they are not doing that. And by choosing actively not to do that, that is not only illegal, it is also a betrayal towards all present and future generations. And that is why 636 children and young people in Sweden are now suing the Swedish state.
Both illegal and a betrayal, yes. And Greta, I have to ask, will this be enough? Will the lawsuit be enough to create real change?
Of course, no one single action will be enough. We need everyone and we need everything in order to change everything.
Yes. And Anton Foley from Aurora, what exactly is Aurora demanding from the Swedish state?
Well, like Greta said, Sweden, as a rich country in the global north that is disproportionately responsible for this crisis, has a large responsibility to act and lead this transition and do its fair share of the global action to keep global warming to 1.5 degrees and avoid the worst consequences. And by actively choosing not to do that and instead actively fueling this crisis, that's illegal because it's in violation of human rights.
So what can we all do to support this cause?
The most important thing everyone can do in this crisis is to act, because, like Greta said, to change everything, we need everyone. And we need change, far-reaching change through all aspects of society. So the most important thing to do is to change where you are.
Thank you so much, Aurora and Greta Thunberg. Good luck for your meaningful climate impact. Thank you. Now on stage, we're going to give you some Swedish soul from the south of Sweden. This is Tingsek with the song Family.
Oh, my just got blurry. I don't know which way to go. So don't worry, 'cause I know ever threw the smoke grenade. On a brilliant set of cards you played. Any doubts instantly shatter, but nothing else will matter. Oh, my love, this is how we do it. This is how we go. If I ever lose it, I'll die alone. If you and my daughters, oh, this fire won't fade. It'll burn underwater. Oh, what a beautiful mess we made. I can't believe you chose to live with me. No, you're not from this planet, obviously. I break things down, you end worries for our girls and me. Oh, my perspective's changing. It's changing. It's really all about how you feel and how I can change for the better, so I can stack this forever. Oh, my love, this is how we do it. This is how we go. If I ever lose it, I'll die alone. If you and my daughters, oh, this fire won't fade. It'll burn underwater. Oh, what a beautiful mess we made.
We are all deeply troubled by Russia's unlawful and inexcusable invasion of Ukraine. And now, on that matter, we are to present the next Right Livelihood Laureates of 2022. It is the human rights defenders Oleksandra Matviichuk and the Center for Civil Liberties who are also receiving this year's Nobel Peace Prize. Since 2014, when Russia invaded Crimea, and even more so after their full-scale war, they have worked to build a path toward international accountability for war crimes. We honor their tireless mission to promote human rights, democracy, and solidarity in Ukraine and Eurasia.
Now in Ukraine, we are going through the difficult times. We are fighting for our freedom in all senses. For a freedom to be independent country. For a freedom to be Ukrainians with our own language and culture. And for a freedom to have a democratic choice.
Oleksandra Matviichuk and the Center for Civil Liberties, the organization she leads, received the 2022 Right Livelihood Award, jointly for building sustainable democratic institutions in Ukraine and for modelling a path to international accountability for war crimes. Center for Civil Liberties rose to prominence in 2013 when they launched the Euromaidan SOS initiative.
During Revolution of Dignity, I, together with my team, created Euromaidan SOS initiative. We work 24 hours a day to provide legal and other protection to persecuted protesters around the country.
Following Russian occupation of Crimea and the Donbass in 2014, CCL was the first human rights organization to send mobile monitoring groups to the region. In response to Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine in 2022, they have once again continued to organize groups to collect evidence and testimonies.
We are documenting war crimes in this war with Russia in order to hold war criminals accountable, to provide justice for each victims of these crimes.
To date, the database established under the Tribunal for Putin initiative has documented more than 18,000 cases of violations by all sides.
Justice has not to be dependent whether or not Putin regime still exists. We need to hold Russian war criminals accountable regardless whether they collapse or not.
Matviichuk and CCL have long campaigned for Ukraine to join the International Criminal Court. This work has become especially crucial in achieving accountability for war crimes committed during Russia's invasion.
All challenges which now we are facing in Ukraine couldn't be solved in national borders, because this is not a war between two states, it's a war between two systems, authoritarianism and democracy. We need international support, and this award helps us to bring attention to our work and our struggle.
Please welcome Oleksandra Matviichuk. Thank you so much for being here. Congratulations on receiving this award. And thank you for everything you do. I think everyone agrees. Thank you. Standing here today, reaching this point, we have to ask, somehow you started becoming a human rights activist at some point in your life. What was the reason?
When I was at school, I got acquaintance with Ukrainian dissidents, and they included me in their circle. And I got brilliant lessons from people leading by their own examples, because they faced with the whole Soviet machine and they didn't give up, even being jailed, suffered and persecuted. So I decided to study law in order to fight with injustice.
And what is the role of civil society in your mind in regards to documenting war crimes?
Russia uses war crimes as the methods of warfare. Russian troops deliberately shelling on residential buildings, school, churches, hospitals, attack evacuation corridors, manage filtration camp system, organize forcible deportations, commit murder, rape, abduction, torture, and other kinds of offenses against civilians. So we created all Ukrainian network, Tribunal for Putin initiative, in order to document each episode and hold Putin, Lukashenko, and other war criminals accountable.
Definitely. Everything you said, all these offenses, I think we all wonder, with everything you have to see and hear, how do you cope with everything? What keeps you going through all this?
People inspires me. I know from my own experience that common people have much greater impact than they even imagine. And massive mobilization of common people in different countries of the world can change the world history quicker than the UN intervention.
Mass mobilization of common people, definitely. And your work is so crucial for Ukraine, and here is an expression of that.
I would like to congratulate Oleksandra Matviichuk on winning this year's Right Livelihood Award. Oleksandra Matviichuk is a tireless fighter for human rights and a defender of the most vulnerable in Ukraine. Along with her organization, the Center for Civil Liberties, Oleksandra is also tirelessly documenting Russia's international crimes in Ukraine, and thereby making sure that Russia will be held to account for its crimes in Russia today. The Swedish Embassy is very proud to be a long-standing partner of Oleksandra Matviichuk and of the Center for Civil Liberties, and we're extremely pleased that you've been awarded this year's Right Livelihood Award.
And the stage is yours. Thank you.
It's a great honor for me to stand on this stage. I have been protecting human rights for many years. At present, I and other Ukrainian human rights defenders are doing our job in the circumstances when the law doesn't work. Russia unleashed a war against Ukraine, and it's attempting to occupy Ukraine by inflicting the immense pain on millions of people. And the entire international system of peace and security is unable to stop Russian crimes against the civilian population. I would not wish anyone to go through this experience. However, these challenges compel us to reveal the best in us, to fight for freedom, to take burden of responsibility, to be courageous, to make the right choices, to save others, and to find creative solutions. Now, like never before, we are acutely aware of what it means to be human being. I know that in different countries worldwide, every day, many people also fight for freedom and for human dignity. Sometimes this fight may seem has no sense because of the opposing enormous power. However, the long history of humanity convincingly proves that people should not give up. Even when we have no tools, our own words, our own position still remain. And in the end, that it's not so little. I believe we should support each other in this struggle for freedom. Many things have no state borders, and human solidarity is one of the most crucial ones. We live in a very interconnected world. Only by spreading of freedom we will make our world safer. Thank you.
Mohsen Hassan from Egypt emerged as a powerful voice, raising attention on the rampant sexual assault on women during the Egyptian Revolution in 2011. In 2016, she was announced a Right Livelihood laureate, but she was not allowed to join us here in Stockholm because the Egyptian regime had issued a travel ban for her. But earlier this year, Mohsen was finally cleared of all made-up charges, and she was finally allowed to travel again. So it is amazing to, at last, celebrate Mohsen Hassan here in Sweden with us, and now as a part of this year's jury. So now, together with Right Livelihood's Executive Director Ole von Yxkull, give her a warm hand. This is Mohsen Hassan.
Mohsen, it is incredible to finally have you here in Stockholm. And I remember 2016 when we had the award presentation and you only participated on the video screen. And now you are here among us. And back then we said if the laureate could not come to the award has to come to the laureate. So we went to Cairo in the spring of 2017 and organized an award presentation there for you. And then we went back to our countries, but you continued your work there in Cairo. And we continued to highlight your work at the United Nations and in international fora. And now finally you're here with us so we can tell you in person how incredibly proud we are of you and your important work and your voice that deserves to be heard around the world. And to finally give you the applause that you should have had back in 2016. Congratulations.
Finally, and well-deserved. Thank you for being here finally. So I realize a lot of your thoughts must be with your fellow activists in Egypt. Could you describe the situation right there now?
I'm so overwhelmed because I'm here, but at the same time, lots of my friends and colleagues couldn't leave their country. The people who are still in the same case I'm out of, but others are still there, thinking of Jamal Eid, Mohammed Zera, Huda Abdel Wahab, and others. Also thinking of all my friends and colleagues who are behind bars for years. Ahmed Doma is turning 10 years in jail. Mohammed Baqir for more than 4 years. Egypt really in a hard situation of many of the political activists who are in prison.
And I know you also sympathize greatly with the horrible situation for the people in Iran right now. Is there anything you would like to tell us about that?
Iran always has been inspiring for us as feminists in the MENA. The Iranian feminists always tell us something, and this time Nazreen Sandoudeh and other women and the first led feminist revolution are there in Iran. Those women are struggling for all our dignities. I'm thinking of them. I'm thinking of our fellow laureate in Afghanistan, Seema Samar, and other women and feminists who are struggling for the dignity, equality for all of us.
Maybe a round of applause for the people struggling for their rights around the world. And thank you so much for what you do out there, Mohsen. And we're so glad to finally have you here. Congratulations once again.
Thanks.
Go celebrate. Thank you. Imagine another, more sustainable way of leading and building our societies. This is what our next laureate has done. I'm speaking about Cecosesola from Venezuela. It is a network of community cooperatives in low-income areas. They are providing affordable goods and services throughout the country. They value all voices equally. They make decisions collectively. Everything is self-financed, and tasks are rotated amongst the workers. So their success proves that we can build societies and economies based on sustainability and solidarity instead of short-sightedness, competition, and greed.
Muchas personas se sorprenden cuando nos preguntan cómo nació Cecosesola. Y la manera como nacimos permanece hasta hoy, después de 55 años, que es responder a una necesidad comunitaria.
Cecosesola is a community network providing affordable goods and services to more than 100,000 families in Venezuela. It receives the 2022 Right Livelihood Award for establishing an equitable and cooperative economic model as a robust alternative to profit-driven economies.
Mira, yo creo que para nosotros como Cecosesola este premio es motivo de mucha alegría, de mucha celebración.
Founded in 1967, Cecosesola's network of 50 organizations provides food, healthcare, financial services and more, well below retail prices. What's more, it operates through collective decision-making and mutual support.
Nosotros somos un proceso educativo donde la invitación es a que cada persona vaya siendo mejor en la construcción de la confianza, demostrando honestidad, transparencia, relaciones de apoyo mutuo.
Since 2014, political turmoil and economic freefall have forced more than 6 million people to flee Venezuela. But Cecosesola's collective solidarity approach has proven resilient.
Mira, cuando hay una acción difícil, cuando los empresarios cierran su puerta por miedo de saqueo, Cecosesola siempre está abierta. Cuando los empresarios suben sus precios bárbaramente, sabemos que Cecosesola actúa diferentemente porque no es una empresa.
Y este premio, repito, es un compromiso y una posibilidad y una oportunidad para que muchas más personas conozcan lo que hacemos y también se den cuenta de que hay otra manera de hacer las cosas donde el respeto, la cooperación y la solidaridad son como el eje fundamental que nos da a permitir ese camino.
Please welcome Right Livelihood Laureates 2022, Cecosesola, with Lizette Vargas Cambero, Teresa Correa, and Gustavo Salas. Very nice touch. Thank you for being here and congratulations once again. I was on it somehow. Your work inspires people as an alternative economic model for the rest of the world. What is your take on this?
It's a great responsibility. Because now I have many persons around the world looking at us. And it's,
You're doing great.
But it's nice and stimulates us to going on deeper our process, our cultural transformational process.
And what is the secret of keeping this truly cooperative way of living and working alive?
We think maybe one of the key elements is that we are all time creating, building, trusting relations. And it's that permits that we were trust each other and we getting better persons. Cada uno de nosotros. Each person.
And as I mentioned, you make decisions by consensus. So why is it important for you to keep working this way?
You know, the consensus is very important for us because when you vote, it's a competition, and at the end, there are winners and losers. And the consensus is a process of dialogue. Cecosesola is a permanent conversation, and we reach agreements about the fundamentals that are very, very important in any decision, in any, all that we can do it, we can with responsibility, with equity, with solidarity and transparency.
And your work makes such a difference in people's lives. Here is an example of that.
A mí en estos años me ha ayudado mucho estar en la organización, porque además de que me he sentido parte de ella, también en los momentos difíciles han estado conmigo. Somos una gran familia. Pasé un proceso difícil durante la pandemia, ¿verdad? Pérdida de mi esposo. Y aquí me encuentro todavía, ¿verdad? Luchando, caminando hacia adelante, con ganas de seguir, con ganas de dar lo mejor de mí. Y la organización a la cual pertenezco ha sido una gran base para eso y un gran impulso para ayudarme en eso. Me he sentido ayudada, me he sentido querida, me he sentido tomada en cuenta. Por eso nosotros en la organización insistimos mucho en ir creciendo juntos, porque sabemos que ir creciendo juntos es donde tú te haces parte, donde tú vives de corazón lo que haces. Y siento que por eso ese apoyo mutuo que vamos teniendo cada día es el que nos hace crecer cada día y ser diferentes, y ir mejorando cada día más para poner un granito de arena cada día en nuestro país, en nuestra Venezuela y en nuestra organización.
And the stage is yours.
Good evening. We are so thankful to the Right Livelihood jury for selecting us for this award. This award allows us to share our organizational process and to connect with many new and wonderful people and organizations that are committed, just like we are, to producing profound changes in the way we relate each other. This award recognizes more than 55 years of Cecosesola's network of community organization in Venezuela. The news of this award has been received with great joy in our country and in other latitudes where we have built relationships of mutual support. This award belongs to the founders of Cecosesola, who in 1967 had the courage to create a funeral service without any resources or previous knowledge in order to respond to an urgent need in our community. To all the people of the public transport cooperative, for all the lessons learned from that experience, through their dedication and perseverance, they managed to rescue Cecosesola when local authorities tried to shut us down in 1980. To the more than 1,000 families who use our service, to the more than 1,000 men and women who as associates make our community service possible, to the more than 300 men and women in our network to work in the fields every day to produce food to our community markets. To the 30 families who as associates supply our community markets with homemade products. To the more than 20,000 cooperative members in the Cecosesola network. To our German friends, who in their own initiative translate our books and help us make annals in German and Europe, as well as those with whom we have exchanged experience for more than 10 years. Some of them are here with us today. Thank you. We would like especially to thank Silke Helfrich, who first told us about this war and who nominated us. Sadly, she passed away 1 year ago. Today, we remember all of the hard times caused by misunderstanding, especially from politicians. Little by little, with a lot of effort, we have been managing to make them understand that we are not power seekers, that we work on a non-profit basis, continually developing our process of organizational transformation, becoming more responsible and compassionate persons, improving our community service. Thank you. Thank you very much.
This year, all 3 of the Nobel Peace Prize laureates have also received the Right Livelihood Award. This obviously includes the Center for Civil Liberties from Ukraine, but this also includes Ales Bialatsky of Vyazna in Belarus, who has been in jail since July 2021 with his other colleagues. And this includes the Russian human rights organization Memorial International. In 2004, Memorial received the Right Livelihood Award for their work to uncover the fate of victims during the Soviet era. This work has been met with severe resistance from the Russian regime, and about 1 year ago, they were sadly closed down. Now, please welcome from Memorial, here with us in Stockholm, Oleksandra. Please welcome, here, Oleksandra Polivanova. Welcome. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for inviting me.
Alexandra, why and how did the Russian government shut you down?
Well, the formal reason was that Memorial was not good enough, not accurate enough, following the Russian law on foreign agents. This was the formal reason, but prosecutors said during the trial that the real reason probably was that Memorial called USSR as a terrorist state, and well, that's true. And the prosecutors thought that Russians would like to be proud of their history, and they would like to feel themselves at the standards of the, well, someone who won the Second World War. And that's why Memorial is not only foreign agents, but an agent of, I don't know, someone who would like to destroy our history.
And could you describe the situation now for you and your other colleagues? at Memorial?
Yes, Memorial International was a network of different members, different organizations called Memorial, and so the legal entity, the main legal entity of this Memorial International is liquidated, but a lot of different organizations, also Memorial, which are much more smaller, they still exist, and they continue somehow they work, partly as legal entities and partly as volunteers. And after Russia started the full-scale war in Ukraine, a lot of our colleagues were also they also left countries because it's prohibited in Russia to be against the war. So it's not so easy to continue our work, and we continue it partly outside Russia, partly inside Russia, but still we try to do everything we can to overcome Russian imperialistical ambitions and somehow to transform Russian society so that it will not be dangerous for neither for neighbors nor for Russian citizens.
Thank you for carrying on this struggle. Oleksandra Polivanova from Memorial, thank you for coming. Thank you. Let's now take a moment together to commemorate the Right Livelihood Laureates that sadly passed away this year, but whose work lives on.
Herman Daly was an American environmental economist who received the Right Livelihood Award in 1996. Daly redefined economics to not include the destruction of our environment for economic gain, but to replace it with a model that respects the limits of our natural resources. We move into an era of uneconomic growth, in which growth increases the production of bads faster than goods. It accumulates filth faster than wealth. Ayala Bat, who received the Right Livelihood Award in 1984, fought for women's labour rights in India and beyond. She established the Self-Employed Women's Association, a trade union for women workers from the informal economy. It has over 2 million members today. Anything that makes us rootless, ruthless, voiceless and futureless is not worth our pursuit, however profitable it may be.
This particular place I found. No stress at all, waste our time. Nobody's letting anybody down. It's a world of its own, and here we get to do what we decide to. This particular place I found is so full of life and possibly the most positive feels of energy. It's a world of its own, and here we get to love each other deeply. It's a couple of years. bullets on the cells. Some people come true, put fire in you. Ooh, I'm so lucky we get to inspire each other. I'm so happy we got together. My whole world was falling apart. I love to be around this particular place I found. Not just that I would waste our time. Nobody's letting anybody down. It's a world of sun, and here you get to do what we decide to. I love to be this particular place I found, and so full of life and possibly the most positive fields of energy. It's a world of sun, and here we get to love each other deeply. We get to do, we get to do, we get to do, we decide to. Yes, we get to do, we decide to. We get to do, we get to do, we decide to. We get to do, we decide to.
Thank you, Tingsek. Another great performance, world of its own. In order to be able to exercise your rights, you have to, of course, know your rights. This brings us to the final laureates of the evening. It is the Africa Institute for Energy Governance. They are a public policy research organization that elevates local communities to stand up for their rights and make their voices heard by companies and policy makers. One such example is the ongoing construction of the much criticized pipeline called East Africa Crude Oil Pipeline. This pipeline will cut through the oldest national park in Uganda, cause mass displacement and environmental harm.
When we saw that energy projects were among those projects that were responsible for making people suffer, we said, what can we do to ensure that those projects stop causing trouble?
Africa Institute for Energy Governance, AFIEGO, receives the 2022 Right Livelihood Award for their courageous work for climate justice and community rights that have been violated by extractivist energy projects in Uganda. Founded in 2005 by 4 students, AFIEGO has emerged as one of the key actors in protecting the rights of communities affected by oil and gas projects.
Our work is to ensure that those communities also live a dignified life. And we do it from the perspective of energy, because most of the energy projects, especially in Uganda here, they have been causing a lot of untold suffering to many villages.
Since 2006, the discovery of oil reserves has led to an increase in land grabs, illegal displacement, and environmental degradation. AFIEGO has empowered affected communities to stand up for their rights. Among them, the Kiakaboga community.
In 2012, when the oil activities expanded, government and companies displaced over 7,000 people. Among those ones were 3,500 women.
AFIEGO and the community took their case to the High Court of Uganda. While the case remains ongoing, tangible outcomes have occurred thanks to AFIEGO's efforts.
Through our activities, women were also recognized and they were able to protect their compensation. With that compensation, we saw at least some of their small children were able to go back to school. The fact that we protected those women and the women were able to protect their children, that was a huge milestone. We still have many communities out there who are suffering. So the award will be helping us to make sure that we reach out to many people who are having many problems.
Please welcome up on stage Right Livelihood Laureates 2022, Dickens Kamugisha and Diana Nabiruma. Thank you for being here tonight. It's honoring. If you want to stand over here next by your very newly awarded sculpture. Thank you. Could you tell us about educating and creating community engagement as a part of the fight for the environment?
Okay, thank you very much. Thanks to a great audience and for the applause you've given us. Thanks to Right Livelihood for the amazing work you're doing, and to the fellow laureates, you're also inspiring. So someone who came here before said that power lies with the people, that you may think knowledge or what you have inside you is too little to make a difference. But we know that when you educate people, when you empower people, they are able to make a change. So Afiego uses that tool, educate, empower, and ensure that people speak for themselves and create a difference.
Definitely. Could you also please tell us why is shifting to renewables such an important part of your work?
Oh, that's an important question. In our contexts, and by that I mean the billions or millions of people in the global south, renewable energy is the difference between life and death. If we don't go renewable, if the global north and the global south don't go renewable, then millions stand to die. I'll give an example. Uganda is a very beautiful country. I like to tell people that. And my country has very arable soils. And previously, we had very good weather. So much so that the second stanza of Uganda's anthem goes, "O Uganda, the land that feeds us." Uganda had the capacity to feed its people. But this year, we faced a prolonged dry season, and people in the northeastern part of the country, members of parliament say from that area, the northeastern part of the country, said that hundreds of people died because they were unable to grow food. Unfortunately, children, the elderly, and other vulnerable groups are always the first to die when there is no food. So we must take action, we must go renewable, and power to all the people who are promoting renewable energy.
It's a matter of life and death, definitely. Thank you. And also a very important core key question regarding renewables, regarding all issues of inequality. Can you tell us how you are trying to hold corporations accountable?
I liked what Greta said, that there is no single strategy that can address the problem of climate change. And Afiego is employing a number of strategies. The first is to build power amongst communities to hold the oil corporations accountable. The other is legal strategies. We filed court cases right from the national level in Uganda to the regional one in the East African Court of Justice and in France. We want legislators, we want people also who are in charge of justice to ensure that corporations from the global north that go to countries in the global south and try to construct or develop projects that they would never develop in Europe are held accountable and they are stopped. Thank you.
Very powerful. Thank you. You are behind some meaningful, real impacts, and here is an example of that.
Afego's work means a lot to me as a local human rights defender. It creates a huge sense of inspiration in that whenever sometimes you are demoralized, when you push and push on certain issues, you feel that there is nobody to help. But when we see Afego standing boldly to talk about the local issues, we feel really energized and think that there are people there who care about us. Because it is abundantly clear that to the majority, they just talk about the PAPS project affected persons. But those are our relatives they talk about. Those are the people we live with in the community. They talk about the Albertan region, and that is home. So when we see Afego joining us to amplify the voice, to energize us, we feel that's very important to us.
The stage is yours.
Thank you. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, allow me to take this opportunity to thank Right Livelihood Award for recognizing us with this award. We don't take it for granted. There are many people who deserve this, but the fact that we are selected to get this award, we do appreciate very much. And also allow me, on behalf of Afego board and my fellow staff, to accept this award with a sense of gratitude and humility, because it means a lot in terms of giving us courage to continue doing our work. Allow me again take this award on behalf of our staff. In October last year, 7 of our staff were arrested by the security, and I was among them. We spent 3 nights in the police cells. We had a young mother who had a 5-month-old son, and for 3 nights, 3 days, Mercy could not be allowed to feed her baby. When we got out of the cells and they brought her the baby, I saw Mercy and her baby all crying. So every day that we get out to work, sometimes you see the flashes of that picture that a young mother who has not even committed a crime, the baby is being punished by a government that is supposed to protect that baby. And I want to dedicate this award to the young mothers who are facing challenges but trying by all means to ensure that they can continue doing work to make our world a better place. I also want to dedicate this award to one of the ladies among the 3,500 women who were displaced in 2012 for the government of Uganda and the companies, including Total, to plan to build a refinery. One of those ladies had 5 children, and when the compensation was given, it was taken by the husband, and the husband left and married another woman. That lady started living just in the town centers without a house. For many months, we finally worked with the community to construct something, a makeshift, to live in. But that lady, up to now, she still works with us to go to other communities, to empower them, to tell them the experience that don't lose hope. When you continue persisting and you continue with resilience, you actually succeed. Some of her children are back in school. And I thank you that we can continue working together to make sure that such situations should not continue. On a special note, I want also to dedicate this award to my sister. It was in 1986. I come from a big family because my father has 21 children. She has 2 wives. And in 1986, my 2 brothers and the sister completed primary 7, where in Uganda from primary 7 you go to secondary school. She had got the best marks compared to the boys. She was 14 years old. I believe that if she was also a boy, possibly she would have gone to the secondary school. And unfortunately, the parents and the village actually decided that no, whatever is available should help the boys to go to secondary school. And for her, she should be married. And the village actually managed to get a man. And she got married. I was 7 years then. But I saw her crying for weeks until she was taken by the man. After 6 years, she died. I still believe that if she had maybe joined secondary school, she would be still living. And the reason why I'm giving this story is that the work that we've been doing in the oil region, where oil projects are displacing thousands of households, most of the people who are getting problems, when those families are deprived, it's the girl child. When the girl child fails to continue with school because the family no longer has land to grow food, to get income, they get married at the age of 14, 16, 15, and their lives are cut short. So when I look back and I look at my sister that maybe she died because of those problems, I get encouraged that I have to work, I have to do whatever I can to ensure that communities are safe, to ensure that those families are protected. And that's what keeps on pushing me every other day, that we work together, we make sure we make our communities, we make our world a better place. And lastly, I also want to dedicate this award because at Afiego we are 13 staff. We work with very many community volunteers we've trained them, they have capacity to mobilize others, train their own communities. And even when we are not in those communities physically, they continue doing work. And the reason why government can arrest us, the government thinks we are very big. But this is 13 people in the entire country are very few. But these community volunteers are doing a wonderful job. They are not paid. They are not educated. And this is the reason why I believe it is necessary that this award also is their award, and it will give them courage. And I hope that we will continue working with them to make our people better than the way they are today. And with this, once again, allow me to thank you for gracing this occasion, and commit that we shall continue doing our best whether it is in Uganda, in the region and the world, to work with whoever wants to make this world better, that we continue working no matter all the problems that are there, no matter the risks that we face, we shall continue working to make our place, to make our world a better place. I thank you very much, and may God bless you.
Now, before we end this evening, I'm standing here once again with Ole von Yxkull, the Executive Director of Right Livelihood. How has this evening been, do you think?
Incredible. I'm so proud of the laureates, and it's the evening that my team and I have been working for a whole year, so this is really wonderful.
And I'm curious, you emphasized that receiving the award is just the beginning for the laureates. What do you mean by that?
Right, our relationship with the Laureates doesn't end here. We celebrate tonight, but tomorrow we get to work and we will continue supporting them, and we will continue to spread their important messages through the universities we work with, through the United Nations that we work with.
So I'm also curious, who supports Right Livelihood, supporting all these people?
Really, everyone who believes in the Laureates' vision can support our work. We have private people who are funding the important work that Right Livelihood does. Some of them are here tonight, and they know who they are, and we are very grateful for that support.
We are too. And we're grateful to Ole von Yxkull and the whole Right Livelihood. Thank you so much for your incredible work. Thank you. Thank you. Now, I say thank you all for watching this incredible evening, and let these brave actions and brave activists spark initiatives throughout the whole world. You can really start from here by everything you've learned tonight. Just speak with your friends and family and see what happens. From my heart to yours, goodbye, good night, and good luck. Thank you very much.